old Tea Party grassroots organization setup, you are each in your own booths and tables, as if they're each a sovereign entity, and then you look at the entire restaurant as the United States of all of these various sovereign entities. So I think that's great. Yes, my name is Marc and I'm a candidate for the Republican nomination to the United States Senate in 2012. I'm asking Republican voters across Pennsylvania to allow me the opportunity to challenge Robert Casey. I believe I will bring a new and independent spirit and perspective to our nation's capital. I am not a career politician. I have never held elective office. I'm not the son of a governor. I'm the son of a traveling salesman from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who worked his entire life and raised a family of 6 on full commission pay. No salary and no benefits. If he didn't get up every morning and go to work and sell some furniture at the beginning of the week, there was no paycheck for us at the end of the week. And it's this type of pay structure that teaches a man about the values of hard work and perseverance and living within one's means. And these values are sorely missing in Washington, D.C. today. In the first part of my adult life, I was immersed in politics, from campaigns to governing. I worked in both the legislative branch and in the executive branch. I worked in both capitals, in Harrisburg and in Washington, D.C. I worked in the United States Senate, in the very office currently occupied by Senator Casey. In the second part of my adult life, I became a practicing lawyer and a partner and owner, along with my wife, of a small law firm. And we now have 15 employees in 2 office locations. We're very small, but we're very proud. And I know how hard it is to run a small business because I do it every day. Now, over the last 2 years, I've watched as President Obama and Senator Casey have used the financial crisis of 2008 to preside over the largest and most intrusive expansion of the size and power of the federal government since the New Deal. Over the past 2 years, President Obama and Senator Casey have launched an assault on our freedoms, on our liberties, on our free enterprise system, and indeed on the American way of life. You know, after 2 years of Barack Obama and Robert Casey, they have given us a national debt of $14 trillion. Now that is $50,000 of debt for every man, woman, and child in America today. And I have 3 young children, all of whom are under the ages of 5. God help us, God help my wife and I. $50,000 a child is $150,000 of debt. That is their share of the national debt. And I have to think about, what did my young children do to deserve this massive debt that they are going to have to repay? And the fact of the matter is, they did nothing. It is our career-minded, big government politicians in Washington, D.C., led by President Obama and Senator Casey, that have given them this debt, this burden for them. President Obama and Senator Casey have given us annual budget deficits in the trillions, and that's stretching out in the future as far as the eye can see. President Obama has proposed an annual budget for the upcoming year that has a deficit of $1.6 trillion. President Obama and Senator Casey have given us the highest unemployment rate in the past 30 years. And their policies have brought this nation, this country, to the edge of financial ruin. Our creditors in China, and Japan, and Europe, and around the world are astounded at the president's borrowing and spending. Even the Europeans are lecturing us. President Obama is now saying he needs us to give him more money so that he can spend more. He's threatening the taxpayers that if we don't increase the ceiling on the debt limit, then this nation will be thrown into the second Great Depression. Well, I'm here to say, as the President frequently does, let me be perfectly clear. Mr. President and Senator Casey, it is your policies that are destroying this nation. It is your policies that are wrong. It is your policies that we must overturn. Does anybody here agree? Well, this is what I've been watching over the past 2 years. But I tell you, I've also been watching as millions of Americans have been awakening to what's happening to our country. Tea parties have been forming all across Pennsylvania and all across America. And Tea Party is a generic name that's used for 9/12 groups, of course, the Valley Forge Patriots, and all of these grassroots conservative organizations that have been forming in response to the Obama agenda. And I, for one, could not be more proud of the Tea Party movement. And as I see it, these are everyday, average Americans who are very concerned about the direction of our country. You know, I've been thinking that as I look around and I look at the political landscape and I evaluate the elections in 2010, I think that the Tea Party movement is the best thing that has happened to the Republican Party since Ronald Reagan changed his voter registration from Democrat to Republican. And I think the Tea Party movement is going to help the Republican Party complete the Reagan Revolution and return our country to the constitutional republic that Reagan fought for. Yeah. And I tell you, I think the Republican Party at the Pennsylvania level and at the national level owes the Tea Party a great big thank you and a great debt of gratitude for the electoral victories in 2010. Go, you can applaud. And in fact, ultimately, it's the Tea Party movement that has compelled me and called me and caused me to leave the comforts of my private life and to enter the political arena. And I'm doing this because I want to go to Washington, D.C., and I want to stop the Obama-Casey agenda in its tracks. I want to roll it back, and I want to take our country back from Barack Obama and Bobby Casey. Is anybody with me on that? All right. This is my plan if elected to the United States Senate. I will work to stop all bailouts, stop all government takeovers of companies and industries, stop spending through the government stimulus spending bill. I want to repeal and defund Obamacare. I want to cut spending now so that we can make our debt payments on time without increasing the debt limit. I want to balance the budget by reducing the size and scope of the federal government to one that conforms with the Constitution. I want to unleash the economic growth. I want to unleash the forces that create economic growth and opportunity and put Americans back to work by reducing the tax burden on savings, work, and investment. I want to roll back these unnecessary and wasteful regulations that are strangling businesses and stifling economic growth and opportunity. And I want to end the stranglehold that the public unions have over the taxpayers. Has anybody been watching what's happening in Madison, Wisconsin? Is anybody angry at the position taken by these public sector unions? Well, these public unions, they have obtained for their members wages and benefits that the taxpayers cannot even begin to afford. There are hundreds of billions of dollars in under and unfunded public pension obligations just waiting to wash through all of the state capitals across the country, including Pennsylvania. We must stop the public sector unions from bankrupting our nation. This battle currently being waged in Wisconsin is just the first skirmish in battles that will erupt in state capitals all across the country. And I think what has happened is because of the power of these public sector unions, they have turned our public servants into our public masters. They've got it backwards. And this cannot stand. I mean, at the end of the day, who will govern America? Will it be the unions or the people? And that decision is going to be decided very soon. I want to work to create a citizen legislation by passing a term limit amendment. You know, I've worked in government for many years. I worked in Washington, I worked in the United States Senate. I've seen how it works. Many people go into public service wanting to do good, but they end up wanting to do well for themselves. And they begin to focus all of their energies on getting reelected instead of doing what's right for the country. So let's end this right now by returning our country to a government of, by, and for the people, instead of a government of, for, and by the career politician. That is my philosophy. That is my agenda. That is what I want to accomplish if I am elected to the United States Senate. I want to stop the Obama-Casey agenda in its track and return our country to the constitutional republic created by our founding fathers. Thank you very much.